Welcome to A Recipe Reborn, featuring your favorite foods from Final Fantasy XIV. Hello, my name is Lemondrop, and I recreate dishes as close as I can to the in-game recipe, description, and thumbnail. If you're into 14 and food, please subscribe and click the bell for a new episode every Tuesday. Today I am making a basket of sandwiches. This intro contains minor spoilers for the beginning of Shadowbringers, so if you haven't started your journey on the first, you may want to skip ahead to the cooking. For the rest of us, this recipe is of course introduced by our beloved Crystal Exarch. Since the in-game recipe is pretty short, I've creatively interpreted which sandwiches the Exarch might have made. Like us, he is from the source. Perhaps he would make sandwiches to remind us of home. I also chose a couple that I think match the thumbnail, which I will get to later. Now, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that it's really not necessary to make your own bread. However, I personally don't enjoy commercially made bread, and I really enjoy making my own. This particular style of bread is known as Pullman or shokupan in Japanese. It's unique in the sense that it is lightly sweetened and contains butter. After kneading for a few minutes, I'm letting it rise before cutting and shaping. As usual, you will find times, temperatures, and measurements in the description below. I'm using a scale to make sure my sections are equal in weight, and then pulling the edges towards the middle to form even balls. These rest on the bench while I grease my pan and preheat the oven. There is one more step to shaping this dough, which is rolling it into a rectangle, folding it into thirds, and then rolling it into a spiral shape. My understanding is that this is to make sure the crumb is closed. This means the bubbles or air pockets are small, which is ideal for sandwich bread. Additionally, the spirals should rotate towards each other in the pan so that they rise evenly. I'm covering it up to rise for about an hour until the dough is just slightly shorter than the height of the pan. This goes into the oven to bake, and wow, this looks good and smells amazing. And it turned out really well. I'm happy with this. One of the sandwiches I'm making today is a breaded cutlet sandwich, also known as a Katsu Sando. Normally this is made with a pork chop, but I'm also making BLT, so I wanted a little meat variety. I pre-toasted my panko breadcrumbs because I'm baking this instead of deep frying. I definitely do not take credit for this great idea. I'm a huge fan of Nami at Just One Cookbook. These go into the oven together with the bacon since they have almost the exact same cook time and temperature. While those are baking, I'm going to make some egg salad. This is pretty easy to do, so I have a couple of egg peeling tips for you. One is to use eggs that have been around for about a week, not too old but not too fresh either. Two is to put a splash of white vinegar in the water. I like my egg salad to be very creamy, so I put in a little milk. I'm also using Japanese mayo because I prefer it, but regular mayo works just fine. My loaf is cool and ready to cut. The top deflated a little bit, but I'm really happy with the closed crumb. I bought this walnut bread from my local bakery, as well as some challah and a couple of Kaiser rolls. And now I'm ready to assemble all of my sandwiches. I've chosen to mix up the bread and the toppings just for variety. I got this living lettuce that is still attached to its roots, which you keep in a bowl with a little water in it. It has 3 different types of lettuce on it and stays fresh for a long time. Thought it was pretty neat. I thought that a liver and cheese sandwich doesn't sound very good, so I'm using duck liver pate, which I think will balance really well with a spicy cheese. Finally, we have the BLT. I imagine that most people are particular about how they make their sandwiches, and here is where you will see my particular sandwich quirks. I like to pepper my mayo, which is spicy balanced with fat, and I like to salt my tomatoes, which is salt balanced with tart. I struggled to find a way to make my sandwiches balance properly in the basket, but finally figured out that a strategically placed towel worked perfectly. There, that looks pretty good. I think I'm the most surprised by the liver and cheese, which I actually really enjoyed. The rest of these I had no doubt would be delicious. I'm also really happy with how my bread turned out, and even more happy to share these with my family and neighbors. I imagine it being the same wonderful feeling the Exarch had when feeding the Warrior of Darkness. I'm sure that it warmed his little crystal heart. For the full recipe and instructions, please check out the link to my website in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday for another recipe and another episode.